I recently painted our wooden porch floor, and I'm going to show you in this video how I did that step by step, including some of my setbacks. Hi everyone, I'm Melissa from Welcome to the Woods. Thanks for joining me for this tutorial. You'll see that one of the first steps in preparing your wood floor for painting is to fill in gaps and cracks. I had a really large gouge at the end of our floorboard, so I'm actually sticking a piece of wood in there, just a stick from the yard, and filling it with wood filler. When the wood filler was dry, I did sand that down. Now you'll see me clearing out the furniture. Everything should be off of your porch floor, of course, for probably a full week, because when you're painting, you have the cleaning process, the painting process, and then you need to leave furniture off of your floor for at least 3 days until the paint is mostly cured. Getting the floor clean is a key step in making sure your paint adheres properly to the wood floor. Now, I am painting a previously painted floor, and because of that, I didn't feel there was a need for the primer. Just be sure to read specifications on your product. First, I just swept, and then I came across with a scrub brush and soapy warm water. When the water had dried, I came across with paint. This is the paint I'm using from Behr. It is specifically made for porch floors as well as on cement. So because of the versatility of this product, I wanted one that would be a gray I could utilize in other places around my home. So I got one in the color Fresh Cement. It's kind of a gray with some brownish undertones, and I thought this would look very neutral and good with the rest of my black and white color scheme. To do the edging, I had used a high quality Wooster paintbrush. You can find that linked in the description on this video. And then to do the rolling, you can see here I'm using a 1/2 inch nap roller, fabric roller, and an extender. This makes it really easy to put down thick, one coat coverage. Now there is an ugly area on the steps to my front porch where somebody had patched with plywood long ago because there had to have been rot issues. Then they did down a self-leveling compound and laid tile. But by the time we moved in, everything was in disrepair. So I decided to pull it up and fix it myself. What I found underneath the patch really surprised me. The problem was way bigger than I thought. So I pulled up the patch and there was this like boot or like support that was supposed to be kind of a footing for the piece of plywood, but it was completely rotted through. Clearly there was some serious bug damage on this wood porch at one point in time. I think it was probably termites. Let me show you a close-up here at what we found below when I first opened it up. It was so much debris and decay. I was shocked. So what I decided was I am going to figure out how big my hole is going to be, because I was cutting a new hole for this DIY plywood geometric floor piece that I did in my last video. So we laid that into place and I traced around it to figure out how big of a hole I was going to cut. And this would give me a better idea about the damage to the floor joists underneath. Now, fortunately, my brother was actually staying with us this weekend, and so while I uncovered the patch and recognized that there was a lot of rot, I felt a little in over my head, but he was super helpful in planning what we should do to fix it. Here I'm using my multi-oscillating tool to cut a very precise line where I had marked my DIY rug would go. I love this tool. It's super handy in difficult to reach areas, so I definitely recommend it. Again, anything that you see me using in the video is linked in the description so you can get them for yourself. After I uncovered everything, this was the situation. Look at how rotted these are. I can easily move them with my hands. They weren't holding up anything. So I don't have a reciprocating saw. I literally just used my chainsaw to cut through these floor joists and take off the rotted areas, basically leaving what was still sturdy. And I'm going to build up a new floor joist system to replace what was here. All of the rot just crumbled away, and we got rid of this, just cleaned it out, cleaned up this area. After I took out the debris, it looks so much better already. I hope in the future, if anyone has to pull up my geometric floor situation that I patched this with, they don't open it up in shock and horror the way I did. And they open it up and they're like, okay, hey, there's some patched floor joists, and they did a pretty good job. The new joist system that we constructed was made mostly of 2x6s, and I secured them into the floor joists that were there with some 3-inch, they're basically deck screws, so they're exterior screws, in multiple places. I absolutely love my new rigid tool set that I got recently, my drill and impact driver. Man, it made this job a lot easier making this and building out these joists because it's a very powerful tool. And then once the joists were all secured into place, you can see the other side we ran spacers, and I drilled a hole for my screw to go through the 2x6 new joist, the spacer, and the 2x8 joist that ran across the front of the porch floor. Next, we laid down the piece of plywood patch, and finally my porch floor was done. Clearly it was a bigger project than yours likely will be, because I imagine you're just going to be painting, but I hope that you enjoyed that little story I had about how we fixed our porch floor and how after painting and patching it looks completely amazing. Come back next week on Welcome to the Woods to see how I also fixed the porch's foundation.